clear that my brilliantly clear explanations were leaving most of the students really quite baffled. And when I measured somewhat subtly some of my colleagues, the students, they really weren't doing much better. And so for a long time, this was just a frustrating puzzle to me. But the way I came to make some progress was actually by looking at my graduate students. Now, I had a quite big, successful atomic physics program for many, many years. And so I spent a lot of time paying attention to the development of my graduate students and seeing how they progressed. And I came to see a very consistent pattern that emerged. And that is that students would come into my work in my lab and, they were, by definition, they'd had 17 years of great success in science classes. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been coming to work in my lab. But when they'd start to work in research, they were really basically pretty clueless about how to actually do physics. Well, but then here's really kind of the surprising thing is student after student after student, though, after just a few years of working in the lab, they were suddenly expert physicists. They were winning arguments with me all the time. Now, if the first few you see this and you think, oh, that's just kind of curious that student's like that. But as I came to see this happening over and over, I realized, no, there's something more basic going on. This isn't a characteristic of an individual. There's some fundamental pattern here. And I really wanted to try and figure out, get the bottom. Could you make sense of this? Now, one hypothesis that occurred to me, and I think has occurred to many others who've seen the same thing happen, is, well, maybe the human brain just has to go through sort of a 17-year caterpillar stage before it can blossom into a, physicist butterfly. But I took a little more rigorous approach to this and really started to systematically look at research on how people learn, and particularly in science, to see if I could understand this pattern. And what I came to realize is that, okay, wasn't the caterpillar to butterfly wasn't the explanation, but that in fact this pattern and change here did make sense. And in understanding it, it also convinced me that there was tremendous opportunity to improve the learning by students.